Hi, Dan Thies, back again with video number 5 in the Traffic Boss Video SEO course. In this lesson, we're going to learn everything that you need to know about on-page SEO. Before we get started, let you know, I'll go as easy on you as I can, but doing SEO on the page does require you to at least understand the basics of how a web page is structured and written with HTML. If you have a content management system like a WordPress blog, some of the technical details are hidden or made easier, but I can't talk about SEO without talking about HTML. This lesson is structured to take you step by step through a web page, showing you where you need to worry about SEO, from the head section and title tags all the way through the visible elements on the page. And finally, I'm going to make it all a lot easier by telling you a few things that you don't need to worry about. In part 1, we'll take a look at the structure of an HTML page and what you need to do in the head section of the page for SEO. What you're looking at here is a very simple representation of a web page written with HTML. That little thing at the top that says HTML in between the brackets is called a tag. That's the opening tag, and all the way at the bottom, the last thing on the web page is a closing tag that says /HTML. Between those two HTML tags, there are two primary sections of the page: the head section between the head tags and the body section between the body tags. Inside the head section, you can see a title tag and a meta tag for the description of the page. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can see an example of a search engine listing. The title tag winds up being displayed as the blue clickable link, and I have a blue arrow pointing there. The meta description shows up underneath that, and I've highlighted that in yellow. So the first job you have in on-page SEO is writing a good title tag. You want the title of each page on your site to be unique so that search engines and visitors can tell that they're seeing different pages. The main job of the title tag, though, is to get people who see it on a search result page to click on that link. You've got up to 65 characters to play with before the search engines will cut it off, and if you don't care about Bing, you can go on up to 69 characters. You've got up to 10 words that will be indexed, and usually you're going to want the main keywords for each page in the title tag because it's the most important ranking factor with on-page SEO. Save a few words for your brand name if you can. You can always help a page rank better with anchor text and links, even if the keywords aren't in the title tag. As you saw in the example a minute ago, any words that are part of the search query will display in bold, which draws attention and clicks. The meta description has a much tougher job. Here you're trying to sell that searcher in a fraction of a second on the idea that your listing is the one that they want to click on. Now, you've got up to 155 characters to play with before it gets cut off, and if you do it right, that's actually a lot of space. You can say pretty much anything in here. Search engines are going to display this, but they aren't reading it, and using keywords in the meta description won't help your rankings at all. An effective meta description is easy to read with short, punchy statements. Using one big, long, run-on sentence or trying to stuff it full of keywords won't help you get any more clicks. Ideally, your meta description helps you connect with the searcher by entering the conversation they're already having inside of their own head. By the way, don't spread this around, but you can put your phone number in here and it will actually show up on the search result page. So to tie all that together, let's go back again and take a look at what shows up on the search result page. This is the title and meta description from the home page at SEO Fast Start, which is that textbook that you're reading and the site where people go to download it. The primary keywords here are free SEO book, SEO Fast Start, and Dan Thies. And yes, the book and I are actually famous enough that those are pretty good search terms for me. So when someone searches for free SEO book, the keywords are in bold, and I have a nice clickable title. But why did they go looking for a book in the first place? Well, you got to think about that. They're probably sitting there frustrated and confused about SEO, and they're wondering if they can find a good book for free or if they're going to have to pay for one just to get started. My meta description answers that. If they're frustrated, I understand, and don't worry because the best SEO book is free and you can get it today. My conversion rate, my opt-in rate that is, from search engine traffic went up by nearly 30% after I wrote this description. And I could undoubtedly improve on that. It was my first attempt. But understand, this didn't change my rankings at all. The only thing that changed was what was displayed on the search result page, and that improved my conversion once they got to my site. So that's what I mean when I say you want to engage the target audience. Okay, your SEO Fast Start textbook has plenty more technical details, but I want to call out a couple of the more common tags that go into the head section sometimes. A meta refresh is used to send people from one page to another after the page loads. Now, when you have a meta refresh that's set to 0 seconds, it's the equivalent of using a redirect on your web server. So for anyone who doesn't have access to the web server to set up redirects when a page gets moved, this can be a real lifesaver. The meta keywords tag is for, well, it's for keywords, but it's not really worth the time to fill one out anymore, so I just wouldn't bother. And there's, again, a lot more in the text. Okay, so those are the basics of the head section. Now let's look at the key elements of the body section. There are lots of formatting tags that you can use in the body section of your page, but mostly they have little or nothing to do with SEO. The A tag, or anchor tag, on the other hand, is essential. When hypertext was invented, the link was the thing that made it different from plain old text. In the example code here, we have a link from one page to another, and the words in between the opening and closing anchor tags are the anchor text, which is typically displayed in blue and underlined as shown. You've got about 10 words to play with for SEO purposes, although you're probably not going to use that many because shorter link text is more effective for getting people to click on the links, and it just works better for SEO to keep it short and focused. The example at the top of the screen is called a relative link. The browser looks for the page on the same site. At the bottom of the screen, I've shown another type called an absolute link, which includes the full URL or address of the page. Either one will work for internal linking, but your outbound links to other sites must be absolute links like this in order to work. Way back in the day, of old days of SEO, heading tags, the H1, H2, H3, all the way down to H6, were a big part of on-page SEO, but just not so much anymore. Normally, these tags are used for formatting and to express the structure of the page, so headlines, subheadings, and section headings are often written in heading tags. Search engines used to give these a lot of weight, and there may still be a small amount of benefit to using keywords in heading tags, but don't go nuts trying to stuff keywords in all over the place. If your page is really about whatever keywords that you say it's about, then you'll probably be able to find a logical place to use those keywords in headings without trying to force things. Images are important to usability in a couple of ways, but aside from that, they're usually not a big part of SEO. You may have heard about using alt tags to put keywords into your images, but slow down for a second. The alt attribute is the proper name for that, and it is a required attribute of the image tag in the HTML specification. You can actually leave it empty, as shown in the example here at the bottom of the screen, or you can write a brief description for the image. If you have an anchor tag, a link, wrapped around the image, then the alt attribute can be used to tell people what they're clicking to. So if you have an image that says shopping cart that links to your shopping cart, you might use alt text to say something like contents of your shopping cart. Search engines will read that as anchor text, although probably with very little weight in terms of ranking. Do not use the alt attribute as a place to stuff keywords. Use it only as intended, because people with screen readers that can't see what's on the screen get really annoyed when you start reading them a list of keywords. There's also a title attribute for images, which pops up a little tooltip when a visitor points their mouse at it, but this isn't even read by search engines, so don't stuff keywords in there either. It's tempting when you first learn about SEO to try and make big changes to your web pages and stuff in a bunch of keywords, but resist that urge. It's not going to help you anyway. Write content for your visitors, design your site for your visitors, and to get them to do what you want them to do when they get there. If your design looks like it's done for SEO, if your copy reads like you just wanted to work in all the keywords, then you're not going to impress your human visitors one bit. And don't try too hard to impress the search engine spiders. They can't get credit cards, and so far the Googlebot has never spent a dime on any of my sites. Now this may be a little bit different from what you've heard before. I mean, some people will give you an encyclopedia to read before you write a web page, but it's almost always much simpler than that. There are some details that I've left out of that video, and you can read about that stuff in your textbook, but most of the quote-unquote information about on-page SEO that you will find on the web is out of date or just plain wrong. Most people spend very little time worrying about it, and they're very happy. But some people spend a lot of time compiling statistics to convince them that bold text will rank better than italic text. Well, I'll spare you the lengthy explanation of why statistics are useless for that. After all, we just want to grab some space on the search results, and arguing about this stuff won't help either one of us do that. You may have noticed I haven't really mentioned the videos yet, and that's because videos live on web pages, and the SEO on the page is the same whether there's a video there or not. Now let's finish this thing up by talking about common sense and complete nonsense. There is a legitimate craft called SEO copywriting, practiced in many places by many real experts who have a truly valuable skill. Writing good copy is hard enough, But the SEO copywriter's job, and your job right now, sorry to say, is to work the keywords in and work the links that you need into your pages without making it sound like you're working the keywords in. This usually means fewer occurrences of each specific keyword in the page and more use of variations and related words in the copy. If the words that the searcher typed aren't on the page anywhere, then your page isn't likely to show up in search results ever. But you really don't have to do much better than just getting the words onto the page. On the opposite end of the spectrum from SEO copywriting is keyword stuffing, or trying to stick keywords in all over the place. This used to actually work, sort of, and I should know, because I started playing with SEO way back in the days of InfoSeek and Sidewinder, which you've probably never even heard of. I even had the #1 ranking for the word sex on InfoSeek once for about 15 minutes. Hopefully the sex lasted longer than that, but I digress. Look, it's 2010 now. That was almost 15 years ago, and at this point, you're much more likely to get hit by a flying car or insulted by your sarcastic robot maid than you are to get anywhere with keyword stuffing. Okay, I was going to say something about themes and latent semantic indexing here, but the last time I did that, people got really mad, and it didn't do any good anyway. So if someone tries to convince you that you need to worry about themes or avoid using certain words because of LSI, well, I wouldn't do it, but if it makes you happy, it probably isn't going to hurt things very much either. Now, if you're more technically minded, you can probably imagine or think up lots of ways to stick keywords and links onto your pages so that the search engines can find them, but people won't see them. Lots of other people have thought of that too, but the search engines don't like it, and they have a lot more engineers with a lot more experience than you have, and the penalties aren't worth the risk, so please, just don't do it. Now, I will admit to you, the story that I am telling you right now is super simplified, even more simplified than what I wrote in SEO Fast Start, but most of the time it's all you need to know. There's plenty of technical detail to SEO, don't get me wrong, lots of little refinements and tweaks and gotchas, but the stuff that I showed you in this course so far is almost all that any SEO really does, with the vast majority of their time. So do the basic, normal, simple stuff first. The details will still be waiting for you when you need them, and your friends in the SEO Brain Trust will be happy to tell you the rest of the story when you're ready. Okay, for once the internet's ignorance can work to your advantage, because next we're going to learn about something that simply hasn't got the amount of attention that it should have: video sitemaps.